Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we're jumping into another one of our financial topics, trending topics, and relating to men and women. This one is covering for women. We haven't made a video in a few days now, for a few weeks, so we're jumping back into this where we last left off. So the topic, don't mind that I'm reading off of my laptop just to get the points across. So this topic is financial autonomy in the gig and creator economy. So the rise of remote work, freelancing, and the creator economy has given women unprecedented career flexibility. But it has also stripped away the safety net of corporate benefits. Women navigating the modern workforce as freelancers or entrepreneurs must act as their own HR departments, managing employment taxes, private health insurance, and solo 401ks. So some of the key discussion points in this is how do you price your worth accurately as a freelancer without undercutting your market value? And what are the best frameworks for managing irregular income streams? So we'll get into the actionable angles, or I guess resolutions, when it comes to this. But as far as what's listed here, but so just in general, this is definitely something that is, we can see why it would be a growing topic of discussion for women in their point of view from, going that route of, like I said, freelancer or entrepreneur, because in the market that we are now, when it comes to things like streaming, when it comes to social media, when it comes to all those kind of things, people becoming independent, selling new products, own personal products, starting up little businesses, all these kind of things that are taking place in the last couple of years. And it's kind of surged and it's kind of boomed in the last like maybe 5 to 10 years of the online space. It definitely created more room for entrepreneurial businesses and whatnot. So now the weight of that kind of starts creeping in terms of what does that actually mean? So it doesn't really just break down to, okay, I just want to do this. And at first, on the surface, it might come off as like just a little side interest, a little side hustle. But once it starts to take over and become someone's primary thing, you start realizing, like we said before, the weight of taxes, health insurance, 401k, your retirement, like all those kind of things, that planning out the big picture, which is normally planned out for you when you have a regular 9 to 5. So we can see how these definitely would be a key aspect of this in terms of like a trending topic that someone will be worried about, that women will be worried about in this case. Some of the actionable angles that are listed here are building a benefits buffer, an emergency fund, and insurance framework tailored specifically for the non-traditional career paths. So I would say what that would look like is really comes down to budgeting. It comes down to you setting aside and working out a framework in terms of this is, first off, you always have. So what people are not going to be used to is breaking down a framework towards managing the business. So what this breaks down to is I'm going to put aside a budget that's first going to go back into the business. That is always key and always most important because it has to allow the business to run. Then comes, and however a person does the order of it is not really so much relevant as long as each category is covered. So you're going to have a portion that goes back into the business. You're going to obviously then have a breakdown of your living expenses. And a lot of times they do it in the order of reinvesting back into the business, covering your expenses, which those two might kind of go hand in hand. And then things like saving some money. Well, first, before the saving some money, would come to all the other things that they mentioned here as far as like taxes, all the other things that you have to take, health insurance, all those basic necessities. Some people tend to skip over too, but that's part of, I guess, the stress of why this is even a topic is some people might say, well, do I even want to put into health insurance because I feel like I'm okay. I can do without it for right now, which in the grand scheme of things is not okay. But at the same time, it is one of those things that, like I said, has to be put into the budget. And some people will kind of, especially in the beginning stages, play around where they allocate the budget. But anyway, I'm kind of diving off a little bit. It really comes down to formulating a plan. And I think that really is where the solution comes to this, is being able to formulate that plan. And what I would suggest to most people who are going into this space, like I said, this is a topic, a trending topic as far as from a woman's point of view. And the next video, we're going to obviously, as you guys have been following along, we flip-flop from men and women's point of view, even though the next topic coming up for men is going to be very similar to this one, but from the perspective of men, meaning it's a question or a topic that they have been concerned of as well. But as far as for women goes, and this could apply to anybody, I would say that the best route you could take if you're unsure is you're going to frame it out the same you would from your 9 to 5. So in that case, think about your 9 to 5. Think about what your 9 to 5 broke down. If not, you could do a Google search to know this. But for the most part, we're all familiar with it. We knew that it took out money for our health insurance. We knew that it took out money for taxes already paid. You're going to have to allocate that. You can always speak to your tax guy. Whoever you do your taxes with can always help you throughout the year and let you know what to look for by the end of the year when it's time to do taxes. Because at the end of the day, even though your taxes are taken out when you work a 9 to 5, as you get your paycheck every 2 weeks or whatever the case is, every month or whatever the case is. When you are working for yourself, or have your own business or whatever the case is, you're not going to be paying taxes on a monthly basis, weekly basis, bi-weekly, whatever the case is. You're just going to refer to your tax guy, and he's going to let you know at the end of the year, this is what you're doing for taxes. But often that's mitigated in terms of having to pay a bill because you're also able to write things off. So just refer to your tax guy when it comes to that. But like I said, as far as working out a framework, go based off of your 9 to 5. So like I said before, health insurance, taxes, you're going to talk to your tax guy. As far as putting away for 401k, you can invest in. There's a lot of different companies like, Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab. Some people get into, I forget what the other one is, Acorn. Acorn, is it? And all the other various ones out there, but you get the point. You can, if you need to, once again, speak to your tax guy, or usually they will have good financial knowledge in terms of also retirement. Most tax people, if you've done a good one, they're also good with retirement and things of that sort as well. So all aspects of finances. So I would say lean on them heavy. But for the most part, you are able to put away a little something that will go into your own 401k. You could do that privately. You set it up for yourself, and that would cover you for your retirement. So for the most part, it's pretty easy to map things out. Like I said, go off the structure of when you were doing your 9 to 5. If you've never done a 9 to 5, then just go off of Googling, find out, or even speak to your financial guy or your tax guy for advisement on that. But that would, for the most part, be the solution to that. Let me know what you guys think down below. Have you guys entered a space like that? We started your own business or whatever the case is. Let the other viewers know how that's been. Has it been hard? Has it been easy? However that's kind of come across. And definitely want to share that information, the answers on that. Anyway, you guys, as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.